Today we're going to be taking a look inside the Toyota Prius 3rd generation hybrid system to see what's inside and how it works. And at the heart of the system is this power inverter, which is going to take battery voltage from the back of the car and use that to control the motors inside the transmission. I'm already taking apart the e-CVT transmission, so if you want to see more on how that works, make sure you stay tuned for that video. Now for the 3rd gen Prius, they definitely made this a lot smaller and lighter. Here you've got your coolant inlet and your outlet. At the back here is where you've got your outputs. These are for MG1 and MG2, as well as your DC power input. You've also got power output that goes to the AC compressor. So let's take this thing apart and see how it works. First off, I'm going to take off these connector covers. And when you remove that, here you can see where I've disconnected those big high voltage wires to get this out of the vehicle. Now these here are the connections for the computer and battery control. It's got a bit of weather sealing on it. Next, I'm going to remove all the 10mm bolts that go around the top half of this casing here. The top half seems pretty sealed, so I'm actually going to start removing the oil pan, or the bottom half. Cool. I'm starting to pry up on the case around here, and it's not coming up. I'm going to go ahead and remove this fusible link. That's what the fuse looks like. Behind the secret cover, there's 2 more bolts here. Carry bus bars. There's actually another compartment here with 3 bus bars. Alright, now I can lift off the lid. Alright, taking a look at this inverter, you can see we've got the casing here. There's actually a little kill switch inside of here that attaches to the current sensor on the body here. Taking a look underneath the inverter cover here, we've got a giant capacitor. Taking a look inside the inverter itself, we have this top board over here, which acts like the computer that's going to control these motor generators. Now in the Gen 3 Prius, things are a lot more compact, and there's no onboard inverter for the AC compressor. Instead, that's just done onboard the AC compressor itself. Alright, first I'm going to remove the current sensor, which is this bar going across here. Alright, now I can disconnect that. And here you could see the hookups for MG1 and MG2 using these very large bus bars because they carry a lot of current. And inside of here with these loops, we have the current sensors which connect to these wires over here. That tells the computer how much current is actually being sent, so it can control the motor using closed loop control circuit. Next up we come to the motor controller, and it's got a bunch of these little connectors here that I'm going to remove and pull. And then we can pop this board off. So looking at the control board circuitry, you can see it's got our main interface. It's going to go out to the vehicle's CANBUS system to talk to things like your powertrain control module, as well as the battery controller at the back of the vehicle. You've got multiple ICs on here, and of course your inputs for your 2 current sensors. Taking a look at the next main board, this is kind of our IPM or transistor module. We've also got to take out the DC connections that go down to the DC to DC converter underneath. This is going to be really messy because it's got a bunch of thermal paste underneath here. Taking a look inside of this power inverter here, you can see we've got a nice chunk of aluminum on the back of it, and that's to transfer and dissipate heat away from the transistors that are switching inside of there. We've got coolant coming in and coolant coming out to help cool that down and send it off to the radiator. Now this piece also got this thermal paste on it to cool down the DC to DC converter. You can see how things are a lot more light and compact, whereas the 2nd generation used the cooling system going through the casing itself, and then the IGBTs would paste on top of that. But you've also got to replace this as an entire unit if something does go wrong. Now, in order for me to not make too much mess, I've got my daughter's old onesie here. I'm just going to wipe up some of that thermal paste. Now inside of here we've got all the control circuitry for the integrated gate bipolar transistors, which reside underneath here. Now unfortunately, in order to get this off humanely, you need to desolder all of these pins over here and over on this side, which is not exactly possible because I don't have a hot air station or an oven. Wait a second, I've got my brother's old oven over here. Don't you just wish they made a 240 volt extension cord that would reach all the way to the house? I mean, I'm sure his wife wouldn't mind, but maybe we'll find another way. Alright, I guess I'll just use the snips. Now these snips are too slow, so I'm just going to move in with my other snipping tool here. And take these couple of screws apart here. Now I can pop off the cover here, and you can see the IGBTs. Yep, you heard me right. We're not talking about LGBT here. We're talking about IGBT, which stands for Integrated Gate Bipolar Transistors. Taking a look at the transistors here, there's like 22 of them. Now you can see they're kind of paired off here, and that's because they're running parallel because you've got so much current going through here. And the transistors are basically like switches, so they're going to switch on and off that DC current in order to form a waveform. And then you phase them 120 degrees apart, and that's how you get your 3-phase U, V, and W for MG2 here and MG1 respectively. Now this gel is like a thermal insulator, but it also protects these from getting damaged, and that allows most of the heat to escape down the bottom through this heat transfer over here. Compared to the second generation Prius, we had our boost converters as well as our DC to DC converter separated from the IGBT unit, and this here was just a plate with the cooling system embedded on the body itself. Now if you were to open this cooling system, you were to see a bunch of fins inside of here as the coolant runs back and forth. You could see that on the second gen Prius, and this one it's all laminated over and you can't really open it up. Now also integrated into this unit are the diodes, and what they do is the opposite of the transistors, is that they try to rectify the current that's coming in through here as alternating current when you're doing regenerative braking, and sending that out to the capacitor to get smoothed back into DC to charge the battery. So essentially it's DC in on this side and AC out on this side, and each one of the switches are controlled through these connectors. Alright, taking a look at what exactly goes on inside of this inverter, we've got 201 volts DC that comes from the high voltage battery in the trunk, and that comes into the inverter first at the battery boost circuit. That's where you've got the coil and the capacitor that can boost you up to about 650 volts. That voltage is then going to go over to the gate drive circuit and the IGBT transistors to create this waveform over here. Now if you create 3 of those waveforms 120 degrees apart, then you have 3-phase AC current that can then drive the motors inside the transmission to turn the wheel. Now as you're slowing down, you want to recapture some of that kinetic energy to charge the batteries, so your motors now turn into generators. That 3-phase current is then going to be fed back into the inverter and goes to the diodes to get rectified. So it turns that full sine wave into this ripple that you see over here, and then it sends it out to the smoothing capacitor to smooth out those ripples, so you have pretty much DC current, which can then feed the battery and charge it back up. Of course, this also works if you're just sitting at a stoplight and your engine is running. That can also act as a generator and rectify current to charge the battery. Next up, let's flip this over and take a look at the bottom of this unit here. Now let's take a look at the DC to DC converter. Essentially, we're going to take 201 volts DC from the hybrid battery pack and then transfer that using the IGBTs to alternating current, send it through this transformer over here, which is a center tap transformer. That's going to bring it down to 14 volts, and then rectify that again, transfer it back to DC in order to safely use it to charge the low voltage battery. Right, I'm going to remove lots of these Phillips screws here, starting with our high voltage, and I'm going to start removing all the circuit board screws. The 10s here. Alright, I'm going to remove this piece over here, and then I can slide this board off. It's got a bus over there. Over here we've got another one of these. Alright, I'm going to remove this bus bar here. Transformer itself feels like it's held on with thermal paste. Yeah, it's pretty dirty. And over here is a connection where the 14 volts goes out, and of course it gets grounded to the chassis of the car. That goes to the fuse box and of course the battery. Now this is as far as I can unbolt things, because the diodes that sit inside of here are actually screwed down to the casing and then soldered on top of here. Try out this desoldering tool. Okay, maybe I've got it out. And you can see the 3 transistors or diodes that are sitting on top of this. They're screwed on and they've got some kind of a thermal paper on here as well. So it appears these are the 3 transistors that are going to turn it into AC, and then these are the diodes that are going to rectify it and turn it back into direct current. And then nothing too interesting on the control board here, just a couple more relays. Now also on the housing here we've got 2 smaller capacitors. This one here is a film capacitor for 0.6 microfarad. And this one here is also a film capacitor for 0.562 microfarad. And both of these little capacitors actually hook up to the large capacitor over on the sides here. Here's a look at the transformer. Essentially it's going to step down your 201 volts with these little wires coming in here to 14 volts, which is going to come through this bus bar. Now voltage and current are proportional. When you step down the voltage, the current's going to significantly increase, and that's why you need this bus bar to handle it and not some thin wires. This of course is alternating current, so the 14 volts is going to have to get rectified before being sent to the battery. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that's this giant inductor for the boost circuit. Essentially, in order to boost up the voltage, you run current through here. It's going to create a magnetic field. Now you combine that in parallel with the capacitor to form an RC circuit. When you control that with transistors, switching them on and off, you can essentially add up the voltage coming from the inductor and the capacitor to change it from the battery's 201 volts to about 650 volts to turn the electric motors a lot more efficiently. I'm going to go ahead and remove these wires. Let's remove this bus bar. Now this is an inductor. This will also create heat, and that's why it's attached to this plate. I'm going to have to do a lot of prying here in order to get this out. So it looks like it's encased in some kind of a plastic resin that really holds it in there. Now with the size of this coil, you'd think that its electromagnetic field might affect little coils like this that sit nearby. Let's remove the capacitor now. And I'm going to lift this out as one unit. Now the main function of this capacitor is to smoothen out those alternating current waves that are coming from the motor as you're doing regenerative braking before it goes out to the battery. Now over here you've got a 136 kilo ohm resistor that's across the main two terminals of the capacitor here. It's really just there as a safety precaution so that by the time you've opened this thing up to get down to playing with the capacitor, you're not going to be shocked by the full 650 volts. You'll be shocked by a lot less. Now this is a lot lighter and smaller than the one I took apart in the second generation Prius, and I'm not going to cut this apart because last time I did, the acid spewed all over, started burning up my nose, and I don't want to be flagged by YouTube for dangerous operation. As if my angle grinder wasn't dangerous enough. Taking a look at a more holistic approach at how the inverter plays into the hybrid system, we've got our high voltage battery at the back, as well as our 12 volt auxiliary battery to run things like your electronics, your radio and accessories. The high voltage is going to come into the drive circuit through your transistors, and that's ultimately going to feed MG1 and MG2, which is inside the transmission through a power split device. If you want to learn more about how e-CVTs work, check out my next video. Now eventually some of that power is going to be captured and rectified through diodes and then sent back to charge the high voltage battery when you're doing regenerative braking. Now in addition to that, some of the high voltage is going to be converted back down to charge your 12 volt battery because you don't have a typical alternator in a hybrid car. And some of that juice is also going to power the AC inverter, which on the 3rd gen Prius is actually in the AC compressor itself. And then of course the inverter interfaces with other modules such as the battery computer and the powertrain control module. And then there are physical things like the water pump, cooling tank and radiator circuit, which feeds this entire inverter and transmission assembly to keep it cool, separate from the engine. So here we've got the high voltage battery pack located in the trunk over here. Now the battery pack itself is made up of multiple different cells, and that's going to add up to your high voltage. Now over here we have the ventilating fan with its associated ductwork that will be on top of here. Now taking a peek inside of there, you can see there's the contacting relays and the associated electronics that control this battery pack. At the top there are the two terminals that are going to go to the inverter at the front of the vehicle. At the back here, these two orange cables are going to lead up to the safety switch, which plugs in over here, and that essentially is going to turn off this battery from working so it's safe to handle. Inside this corner here we have the connections for the 12 volt battery, which runs all of the CANBUS and electronics in this car. And that's a look inside the 3rd generation Toyota hybrid system and how it works. Now, I don't have the high voltage battery here for a full teardown. Now I know this looks pretty complex and you probably question the reliability. However, over the past 20 plus years that this technology has been around, it's proven itself to be very reliable. As a matter of fact, this car had 300,000 kilometers on it, and it was the internal combustion engine that blew a connecting rod, which is what decommissioned this car, not any of the electronics. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see more videos just like this one.